This is how people celebrate the Lunar New Year in Dali Village. Cheers!
This year's celebration is particularly special. The adults around this table all work in factories in the cities. This is the only time when many of them can see their children. China's zero COVID policy over the last 3 years has made it all even harder.
以前我们想回家我们回不了，是不是？现在一放开，没有，我也是都可以，都开心了，对对对，都开心。
The people here are warm and inviting.
The people here, they're so friendly. I literally was just walking by and they're like, come join us for lunch.
We came to this place in China's southern Guizhou province to see how a part of rural China is celebrating the Lunar New Year without pandemic restrictions.
This village is nestled deep within the mountains. It's remote, hard to access. Because of that, for hundreds of years since the villagers have settled here, the majority of the food they eat, they either grow or they raise themselves.
We visit a villager's home. Sanja greets us with a treat and alcohol, both made from rice from the paddy fields nearby.
Ganbei!
Drinking is a big part of celebrating here. And Sanja is popular in this village. Her door is rarely closed. Relatives stream in to use this machine. They pour in their freshly baked sticky rice. It turns into paste. Her machine is a novelty here. Before, they had to pound the rice by hand with sticks for hours.
About 1,000 people live in this village, and for hundreds of years, they've lived in these traditional wooden houses. And you can hear the chickens crowing, and there are these ducks as well that they raise for food.
In many ways, this place is like a time capsule. Its physical isolation has preserved their way of life for centuries. They're China's Dong ethnic minority. They have their own language, tradition, and culture, but they can't escape the economic realities of modernity. Normally, this village is full of the elderly and young kids, with most of the working-age adults gone, working in faraway factories, sending money home.
It's only for these few days during the Lunar New Year holiday when they can really all be together.
We came across this migrant worker who's just returned from Jiangxi province, more than 600 miles away. He told me he's brought some oranges and candies for his son and traveled for more than a day to get home by bus. This couple works in a factory 500 miles away in Guangdong province, making circuit boards.
所以你一年都没看你的小孩子
啊，对，
那你看他的时候会感觉有什么感？
那肯定很开心。我走的时候，他路都没会走。啊，
真的吗？
对，那时候他都是很小。哇！我回来的时候，我看到他走路，我是很开心的。嗯。哎。
When the parents are away, their grandparents take care of the kids. This is common in rural China.
因为我那天晚上我不是凌晨到这边嘛，我女儿躺在这里，她说一直要等我爸爸回来。我到家的时候我就抱着她，她睡着了。
For the first time in 3 years, millions of Chinese migrant families are finally able to reunite without the fear of COVID lockdowns. I try to find out if this village's remoteness has shielded it in any way from the country's sweeping wave of COVID cases and deaths. Almost everyone I speak to on camera says no one around them has gotten COVID, like this elderly woman who makes traditional crafts.
你们一直都没戴口罩。
我不也没戴口罩的，没都戴。我是身体好，是不都戴。
那你们打几针疫苗？
打疫苗没？打预防针打没？
But we run into another group of young people who say otherwise. The man in the brown jacket, with his back turned, is a doctor at a hospital in a nearby city.
现在都好了。
但是他们不知道是阳性，他们就觉得感冒了。
应该有，反正跟感冒差不多。
因为你们会自己测嘛，如果不测，可能也不知道是。好像是怎么？
就是没有确诊嘛，但是症状应该是那种症状，应该是确诊的，但是都没去检查。
So we've got the 3 government minders following us.
A group of 6 government minders greeted us the moment we arrived in the village. It's common for local officials to keep a close eye on foreign journalists in their jurisdictions, but they were especially persistent in this village, following our every move.
So we just wrapped up the interview, and one of the government minders is sitting out over there. At
least 4 of them booked rooms in our same hotel or nearby. So we drive out of the village to visit a public hospital in a neighboring county about 2 hours away, hoping these government minders won't follow us so people will feel more comfortable speaking freely. We walk inside the fever clinic.
It's almost entirely empty.
In the main hospital area, there are more people, but it's not packed. It's a stark contrast to the images of overflowing hospitals in major cities across China from weeks before. I ask a nurse on another floor of the hospital if it was packed with patients a few weeks ago. She says, it's always packed and busy here. We try to ask why. It looks empty here, but another doctor interrupts, ending our interview. We find one woman, a patient's family member, who is willing to speak to us. Soon after, we realize we're being followed, apparently by a whole different crew.
There's at least 2-3 government minders. They're still following us all the way here. It's very obvious.
They follow us to hospital after hospital, preventing anyone from speaking to us. I try confronting them.
Alright, he's taking a call now. And he's walking away. 你好，可以问你几个问题吗？我给你们提供饮水哈，哦，不要，我就要问你几个问题，就是你们为什么在跟着我们？可以帮我了解一下吗？
And what happens next during my interview with this girl shocks us.
Oh, it's so sweet. Oh. Okay, so I was just interviewing the girl, and then the minders literally took her away from us.
The man pushes the girl and her family away, then later leaves them alone. But our interviews in the marketplace are over. China CDC says the COVID peak across the country has passed. But in rural areas like this, experts say there's likely far more silent suffering. People who died at home because they couldn't afford to go to the hospital or were unable to get there on time. Back in the village, we're greeted by the sounds of squealing pigs, getting ready to be slaughtered. It's a Lunar New Year tradition. Some of the families raise the pigs themselves. Others buy them from sellers like this woman, who tells me that now that people can gather and barbecue together, her business is booming. Decades ago, for most countryside families, this was the only time of the year when they could afford to eat meat. Now it's about bringing the family together to feast.
So this is a whole family of relatives. They're all getting together for the Lunar New Year, enjoying the freshly killed pig meat.
Sanjia teaches me how they dress and do their hair for special occasions, showing me all the clothes and fabric in her home that she's made herself. Sewing just a thin strip of this cloth takes her more than a day.
太累了，太辛苦了，腰酸背痛，我都是为了你们上学啊！我说，妈妈，你说太累，太伤眼睛了，我帮你吧，他就帮我。
But the mothers here tell me they don't expect their kids to carry on all of the traditions. One of Sanjia's relatives, a young woman who works at a cosmetics factory 600 miles away in Guangdong, invites us to her home that night.
大部分的像你的年纪的孩子，人都是在外地打工。
对对，因为在家，基本都是种田。像我们就是很多年轻人，就是在家种田的话，就是钱没有很多那种，就是没有收入嘛。
Her parents and grandparents are proud. She sends most of her earnings back to them. Whether it's in the village or in faraway factories, they're hardworking people. They'll do whatever it takes to give their kids a better life, even if it means long bouts of separation from them, making reunions like these all the more meaningful. Selena Wang, Dali Village, Guizhou, China.